Hey everybody, welcome back. So today's session went really well. I got quite a bit done, which is obviously super cool. I think I'm finally hitting my stride. I think at this point, I'm finally enough into the story that I'm beginning to kind of see how this story is going to end. The ending that I've been searching for, that last third of the novel that's been eluding me, is starting to come to life. It's finally starting to appear. And I can't say how other people do it. So I can't say how other authors come up with their endings. I can't say how other authors wrap up their stories. I know there are some people, again, who will outline their books right down to the chapter, which is awesome. That's super cool. I know the people that are pantsers that kind of let it fly, and boy, I'm always amazed at how someone can make that work. I've spoken before how my style is kind of a hybrid, that I leave enough sort of room in between my outlines that I allow some spontaneity, some kind of creative ingenuity to come in place, to kind of let the story tell itself in a way, while also keeping kind of a general outline of where I want the tale to go. And heading towards this ending, I mean, oh God, it is, for me, the way these stories end, and it was true of the last book as well. So Going Over kind of went the same way, where I sort of know how it's supposed to end. I know in general how it needs to happen, but just getting there at the very end is the challenge. And much like the last novel, I'm seeing now that this one is going to be very similar in that it's not going to be something where it just suddenly comes to me. Rather, it's going to be something that's going to be slowly sort of revealed to me as the process goes on. For me, these type of stories, the way they work, I would best describe it as a sort of courtship. It's a courtship. It's me taking some time to work with this novel, and then the novel, sort of as a reward for writing and giving it attention, the novel gives back to me the answer. The story tends to provide a means of getting to that ending. It's a little crazy to say that out loud. I admit it's a little weird to say that when it comes to this project, to describe it that way, because you're basically giving this inanimate object that you created control over you, in a sense. So I understand it's a little weird, right? It's a little crazy to imagine it that way, and yet it does. And yet it seems to be that the more I spend the story, the more that gets revealed to me by it. It is sort of a courtship. It is something where you have to take a little bit of time and offer it a little bit of attention, and it will slowly tell you what to do. It's crazy. It's crazy to say it out loud. It's crazy to talk about it. And yet I bet there's a lot of authors out there who feel the same way. Think of how many authors who believe that their characters they create have their own personality. How many authors have talked about how, the character spoke to me, or the character decided to have the story play out this way rather than themselves. In the arts, we tend to surrender to these sort of ethereal things that don't really exist. We surrender to our characters that we make up. We surrender to a muse that doesn't actually exist, right? We surrender so much in the art process to this unknown that just kind of comes to us. And from this mysterious void, we seem to get all of our genius. And the only real way to get to tap into it seems to be, for me, just hard work. Just the more I can work at a project, the more the muse is willing to offer something up to me. The more answers that tend to come. And, Stephen King once said the muse, once compared the muse to like this kind of retired old guy who sits in the basement polishing bowling ball trophies, and every now and then, if he catches you working, he'll send up from the basement an idea. And it's kind of true. It's kind of true. In this case, it's this ending. The ending is starting to unfold for me. This ending is starting to come into place. At least something of a way of getting there. It's not this simple sort of, okay, your third act's bad, so because your third act's not finished, that means there's an issue with your first act type of mentality. It's not something like that. It's not something where I don't know what the ending needs to be. It's not something that can be fixed by simply better clarifying that first act. It's the actual means of getting there. It's this weird writing transition from how I know the story needs to end from where it is now. It's that in between. And I think it's going to come just with time spent on this project. It's weird, strange, and again, I kind of love it. I sort of prefer this. I would rather it be this mysterious, nefarious sort of thing than this very clinical sort of aspect you can just analyze and target and figure out. I'd rather it just come to me sort of magically. It makes the work more interesting. It makes this process far more interesting and a lot more fun. But I don't know. What I do know, though, is that I'm closer. I'm getting closer. The session was good, and we're like nearing getting to that point. We're almost there, guys. Almost there. Yeah. So with that, I suppose I'm going to leave it right here for the day, and I will pick up tomorrow. But thank you again for listening to this.